What is going on, fight fans? Welcome back. We're so happy to have you coming off the heels of UFC 302. A lot of fun storylines came out of that one, a lot of good takes, some bad takes, and a lot to dive into there. Today, we're going to preview UFC Louisville as well. UFC Louisville this week, Cannoneer versus Imavov, the main event. A pretty good live card coming to you from UFC this weekend. As always, here on Thursday, my name is Austin Swaim. I'm with Fando Research, and I got to bring in my guy, the man, the myth, the long shot legend himself over there, Matt Tanner, Mattybetts, and ask him how he's doing today.
Doing good, bro. I'm ready for a new week. I couldn't believe how many shitty fights there were on last card.
Right.
I've never seen so many fights in my life go the distance. Was that a record? It hasn't been a record.
I don't know. I think we've had nearly entire cards go the distance, but certainly, like, in a hyped pay-per-view like that, a lot of matchups designed for violence, it felt like we kept getting decision after decision. By the way, some of those scorecards, really damning, really awful. 49-46.
Worst of all time. Worst card of all time in so many ways.
And, even rooting for Dustin Poirier 2-2 in that fight feels really generous in that regard as well. But, Matty, you had 10 grand on Dustin Poirier. I admired your cojones. Didn't quite come up there. Like, I felt pretty good about our handicap there, even though Poirier didn't quite get it done. I think his wrestling defense looked on point. Submission defense, obviously, until the very end as well. Fought through a lot of injuries. I wasn't disappointed in our read with Poirier plus 440. Like, what do you think about the fight?
Yeah, no, everyone made it seem like he was going to come out and get destroyed, and he got taken down the first 30 seconds, which was scary.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it was a fight. It was still a fight. The odds. It was too expensive on Islam. We played Poirier. We lost. Is what it is. But I don't have any regrets.
Yeah. I certainly don't have any regrets either. We'll talk about our show parlay real quick. We had a couple of legs. We had Jonathan Almeida inside the distance, Sean Strickland money line. Those were just fine. Go to hell, Joe Selecki, because Grant Austin inside the distance, he was completely dominant in that fight. Selecki was just focusing on not getting finished rather than having any opportunity to win it. So really cost us there. Was the longest leg of the parlay, probably the riskiest one as well. Didn't quite get the read, but we might be able to rebound this week. Similar format. We've had some good success, gotten really close on the reads, so we'll build a parlay at the end of today's show, both a fun and a safe one. But first, we got 14 fights to break down on this card, and we'll dive into the first one that has been sitting next to us this entire time. These ladies at women's strawweight accompanying us through the intro, Reyes dos Santos and Puja Tomar. And if you guys are asking who the heck is that, I understand it. Reyes dos Santos, the only one of these two with the UFC fight. It was in that weird midnight card with Derek Lewis and Sergey Spivak. So some people have never seen Reyes dos Santos fight in UFC. Puja Tomar making her debut from one championship. And Maddie and I, we try not to talk to each other about the fights before the show. So you get our genuine reactions, our genuine feelings. I had to text him about this, and there's a reason why. But Maddie, as we dive in, kind of low-level women's strawweight, a little bit of a gambling, a little bit, definitely some gambling more so than sports leans and sports predictions in this fight. What do you think about this first one up with Dos Santos minus 310?
Yeah, I mean, so there's not even props or outcomes on FanDuel for this one right now. It's just money line. Dos Santos ballooned up to a minus 350. I mean, this is just such a low-level women's MMA fight. Dos Santos had lost her UFC debut. It was a close decision. She has 8 submission wins in her career, and this chick has lost three of her 4 losses have been by submission. So I assume the submission prop will eventually come online, and I don't know what you think it's going to be. Maybe it's going to be like plus 120 or something. I don't know.
It might be pretty
I honestly don't know, but I'm tempted to take it. I don't know what it's going to be, though.
Yeah, I'll have to see what we get, like, inside the distance versus knockout here, because I think ground and pound is a possibility, but, like, this is a weird signing by UFC. Puja Tomar goes 1-3 with 1 championship, and basically anybody that had any sort of grappling threat took her down and finished her within 8 minutes. And so, I've seen some chatter about maybe she's improved on the regional scene. She took a step back in competition. I feel much better about Reyes dos Santos' competition. Talita Alencar, really great grappler. Had a lot of takedowns in the Contender Series. Reyes really stuffed that threat entirely. And then Denise Gomes was her opponent on the Contender Series. She goes the full distance. Ends up getting outstruck quite a bit of distance. I don't think she is nearly as good of a striker as Gomes, but this is as low as it gets. And Amanda dos Santos, 8 wins by submission. You said Tomar, she's got the weaknesses. Like, it's kind of right in front of us. The main takeaway I want from this fight is that usually women's strawweight, it's a significant trend of decisions. And at this point, I feel better that Dos Santos can actually get this fight done inside the distance on the ground, because Tomar just really hasn't shown a lot of expertise there. She's a good striker, but you got to tie the elements of MMA together against decent level competition. And I think there's a reason Reyes was like minus 180 on Sunday. She's minus 310 now.
Yeah. It's a shitty fight, bro. Let's move on.
Yeah, we'll move on. By the way, if we're having audio issues, we're kind of working through them. I don't hear Maddie incorrectly, and I think he hears me just fine. So we'll try to figure out what's going on with any particular audio issues. Do let us know.
I'm having trouble hearing you, bro.
Oh, you're having trouble in
How's your internet? Is it good?
Yeah, it looks fine. I mean, I got you streaming okay. I'll take a look as we get through. So let's move on to the next fight. I'll try some stuff on my end, and we'll see if we can get this figured out. So, the next fight up on the card here, it is a men's bantamweight battle. Cody Stamann taking on Taylor Lapis, couple UFC vets, couple guys that have been around since like the mid 2000s. Definitely different styles of these guys. Lapis more of a striker. Cody Stamann probably at his best wrestling. What do you think about this next fight up on the card, Maddie?
Give me 1 second, Austin. I want to try to fix this real quick. Try now.
Okay, how about we got better audio now? Oh, interesting. I can hear myself in the background there.
Let us know in the chat who you guys can hear, who you can't hear.
Yeah.
This will be better for you to hear him.
Yeah, talk, Austin.
How about now?
We're good.
Okay. It's starting to sound better. All right.
Yeah.
Audio Gucci, thank you, Mr. Hey Jive. I'm glad you're tuning in and checking out. Thanks,
We're
guys.
back. Let's do this.
So is trying to do live television or web shows or whatever you do. So I introduced these guys here. I don't know if the audience heard, but Taylor Lapis taking on Cody Stamann here, bud. Different styles of men's bantamweight. We got a big data sample on these guys. I was actually able to model them. What are you thinking here?
I couldn't hear the intro at all, bro, if you don't mind.
Oh, all I said was that Stamann's more of a wrestler, Lapis more of a striker. They've been in and around since the mid 2000s, so mid 2010s. So we've seen them for a while. A little bit of an older guy fight, definitely heavily favored to go the distance wherever you can find. So sets up for kind of a weird fight. Yet Lapis a big favorite here.
Yeah, this is another fight. You know, I don't know if it's just the fight card's that shitty, but like FanDuel doesn't have a total, or any props on this. Right.
Do you have any interest in a money line bet here, one way or another?
I would go dog or pass on Cody Stamann here. I mean, especially if it goes the distance. You don't know what the fuck judges are doing these days. He's plus 240.
Right.
I think it'll be a competitive fight.
Yeah. Another unnamed book here, even if we don't have FanDuel props quite yet, over 2.5 minus 395. So odds makers heavily in favor that this one goes the distance. Lapis, he kind of got up over that 300 minus 300 mark at some books, and now it's come back down a little bit. I'd be surprised if it doesn't stabilize around this. When I modeled this fight out, it was much closer than this. And the reason why is because, like, I tend to penalize lack of finishing upside with heavy favorites. I've got Lapis at minus 145 here, so I do see it as dog or pass. I am interested in Stamann, given we saw Lapis in his last fight give up 5 takedowns, get controlled for over 8 minutes. But in general, Lapis's takedown defense is pretty good. Stamann's kind of fallen in love with his hands a little bit. Just 2 takedowns in his last 5 fights. That concerns me, is that maybe he just ends up spending 15 minutes getting picked apart at distance, and I end up blowing it. Like, I think maybe if I get plus 200 behind Stamann, I might fire like a half unit dart at his money line. I don't think he's got a lot of finishing upside either, though. I've got this fight 74.3% likely to go the distance. So maybe I play Stamann by points in lieu of his money line, tack a little bit on, call it a half unit, call it a day, because I don't think there's a lot here from a betting perspective.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I wanted to see what Cody by decision was, but
yeah,
it's just not on the board yet. But I do like that.
I'm guessing it'll be his most likely outcome by quite a bit with the length that we're expecting, and that makes sense to me. Like these guys are
Yeah.
decision machines. We know what we're talking. So we'll move on. We don't have a lot to work off here, especially in these ones without props. How about this next one up at women's strawweight? Back to my favorite division and nobody else's. Denise Gomes back once again, taking on my gosh, I'm spacing it here. Eduardo Maura. She is a very interesting prospect. 10-0 from Brazil. We have kind of a Brazil versus Brazil. Now Gomes coming off that disappointing loss to Angela Hill that certainly didn't age too poorly with how Angie looked in her last fight and continues to look. But Maura is kind of a big time prospect at this point in the division. Wins on the Contender Series, gets a win in her debut against Montserrat Conejo for whatever that's worth. She's minus 184 here. So I'm curious your thoughts on this fight because I have thoughts and I really think there is a good argument on both sides.
I have a feeling you're on the dog side, aren't you?
I'm not.
Okay, good. No, because I like Eduarda as well. She's 10-0. She's just massive. I don't think we'll see if she actually makes weight, right? I don't think she did her
Right.
first time around.
She
She has
didn't.
5 submission wins, 4 by knockout. She's just a monster. 3-inch reach advantage. Gets tons of finishes.
Yep.
I thought she would be well over a 2-1 favorite here, but
Yeah.
I think she's a solid favorite.
Yeah, I certainly get this in theory. And maybe Maura gets fraud checked this weekend, and that's certainly a possibility. But dude, there is one active UFC fighter training with Jailton Almeida right now, and you are looking at her. It is Eduardo Maura. I love that as a grappling gym. And a little bit opposite of Almeida, where he's a lot smaller than most of the guys he faces at heavyweight. Maura is just a lot bigger. And like you said, maybe she is a flyweight long term. They're going to kick her up there if she misses weight again on Friday. But like, she is so much bigger than Denise Gomes. And Gomes gave up 4 takedowns to Loma Lookboonmee, gave up 5 to Angela Hill. Maura is a takedown specialist. She's got incredible size, incredible power. She's got a chin like Drew Dober. If you look, I'm sure that is all vitamins and working out and eating healthy, right? I love Maura as a prospect. Her nickname Rhonda, kind of similar with that dominant judo heavy style. I like her, man. And I think in women's strawweight, if you are taking Gomes here because you think that she has knockout upside, usually knockout upside in women's strawweight doesn't end very well. Like Gomes had that knockout of Hasmin Haragi was arguably an early stoppage. I think it's completely thrown the market off on how to handicap her because if she lost that fight to Haragi as expected, there's no way she's as short as plus 142 here, but she won. It was a little controversial. I think this is actually a good price for Eduardo.
Yeah, I'm with you. I wanted to see the sub prop here.
Yeah. I definitely think submission. This is another one just like the Reyes fight to open up. I might not get cute and take inside the distance because, like last week, I might have got cute on Kevin Holland and taken knockout in lieu of submission. I feel so much better entering a fight when I don't have to sweat. I know what it's going to look like, but I don't have to sweat whether it's a wrap around the neck or
Yeah. And honestly, that was I had Kevin Holland inside the distance for 2 units, and
yeah.
I had the round 2 sub in a parlay, which obviously it missed because it was round 1.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, Kevin Holland's not winning by submission unless that happens.
Right.
And unless he gets like knocked to the ground or if it's maybe a club and sub on his end. But that dude, it's just really crazy when you think about how some of these bets cash. You're like, oh, my guy literally had to get knocked down to get that submission win. Like there's obviously so much luck involved.
Yeah, at least I would say with Holland, and that's the problem with these early prelims, at least with Holland, we have a tendency that in those scrambles when he can hurt a guy, he is willing to grab the neck. Like that's a tendency we saw. He grabbed Michael Chiesa when he initiated a sequence. We don't know how that fight plays out long term. By the way, did you see your guy Michal say that his arm wasn't broken? If it wasn't, that guy's bones are made of titanium because that was a
crazy, bro.
But
it's hard. It's hard to be a ref, man, because I would have stopped that fight, bro. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, you can't stop it." Like, dude, how do you not stop that fight in the moment right there?
Right.
Like that guy, it looked like his arm was about to be ripped off his fucking body, bro.
Kevin Holland was talking to Herb Dean. I believe it was Herb Dean that was the ref saying, okay, I'm going to have to break it. Yeah. I'm going to have to break. Okay. If a guy is that confident that he's about to break this dude's arm, maybe it's okay that the ref was listening because he did get the motion.
Yeah. But, I thought he gave him plenty of time.
Yeah.
Like
I do too.
You know, he gave Michal plenty of time to escape that submission or do something. And like at the end of the day, if you don't stop it and this dude's arm gets seriously fucked, like then people are gonna bitch at you that way too. So
yeah, refs jobs are hard. I'm a little sad here. We can't play Maura inside the distance for our parlay. We don't have it yet, so we'll just move on, because we don't really have anything to work off of there, but we're both watching it for our cards moving forward.
Yeah.
Now, to the first fight on the card where I actually already have action. Daniel Marcos taking on John Castaneda at bantamweight. I was surprised these guys have big enough samples that I was able to model, but they do. Interesting fight here. A couple of bantamweight up-and-comers have strung a few wins or so together in a row. Very close line, closest line on the card here. So it's kind of a pick your horse type of fight. I think there are a lot of different outcomes on the table. Maddie, I'm curious who you like in this pick'em because your opinion will hold weight with me. Not that I can do anything about it since I've already bet the fight.
Honestly, this is a really good line. I think it's a super close fight.
Yeah.
Like, it really is. I would have picked Marcos here, and I still might. But man, John Castaneda looked good his last fight. I remember watching that here live at the studio, and he just looked really good, bro, against
Right.
Mr. Perfect. Outlands him 111 to 88, 3 takedowns to 0. Coming off 2 straight unanimous decisions against good competition, like decent, solid competition, and his losses aren't bad losses.
Yep.
Daniel Santos, Nathaniel Wood, he's on a 2-fight win streak. This is such a close fight. I don't know what to do with it. I would probably take plus money either side here.
Yeah, I totally understand an argument on both sides. My model's line on this is very close. You ready for that? I've got Daniel Marcos at minus 115, so I'm almost nearly in line with odds makers here. But the difference is that I got Daniel Marcos at minus 105. That's kind of why I took it in case that the line did move this direction. I think his takedown defense is the difference. It's 89% thus far against decent threats. Davey Grant certainly would have tried to get him there. He went 0 for 1 and said, thanks, but no thanks. I'll try my chances on the outside. I don't think it's the best level of competition for Marcos. He's faced Aori Kilang, Simon Oliveira around Davey, but Davey's a guy that I just hold in higher regard. I feel like his win-loss record isn't indicative of how good he is. Do you remember how close Davey Grant's fight with Adrian Yanez was? Guy inverted triangled Asuncao, Rafael Asuncao. Like, I feel like he's a super well-rounded mixed martial artist, a little bit like Castaneda is, but I don't have the gas tank concerns with Grant that I do Castaneda. And in his last fight, Castaneda missed his weight. It probably helped him with the endurance issues. And that's why I liked Kang 2-3 in that last fight, targeting that, and then he misses weight and his gas tank is all of a sudden okay. If he's got to go all the way down to 136 here, I think it is a little bit of a difference maker. And I don't like taking a guy that has a questionable gas tank that his path to victory is probably not standing for 15 minutes with Marcos. It's mixing in his wrestling, maybe wearing on that gas tank a little. Conceptually, I like the way this fight looks for Marcos, and I'm not surprised that the line has moved this way, but the fact it has probably already killed my bet. So I like Marcos here. Got him at minus 105, and still, this is outside model value range, but I don't mind him at minus 120 either.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Yeah, one last note. I've got this fight just 58.9% likely to go the distance. I've got some submission upside from Castaneda. I've got some knockout upside from Marcos. So if we get a big, heavy, juicy number that this fight's going the distance, I might actually look to play the under here.
Yeah, it'd have to be a huge number for me. I just think I think Marcos maybe wins a decision.
Yeah. Let me take a look at what we
He don't have a ton of power on the feet. He's just really technical.
So over 2.5 rounds, minus 245 on a different unnamed sports book here.
Yeah, I wouldn't fade that. I actually like that as a parlay piece, but
interesting.
We'll stay away from it since you don't like it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence there, but I could be talked one way or another. But I can't be talked one way or another on this fight. It is the most lopsided line on the card here. We don't pick winners on this show. We're looking at bets, so it doesn't mean very much that I picked Brad Katona to win as a minus 620 favorite on FanDuel, but he's taking on Jimmy Butler. It's kind of a now or never thing for Katona, but a weird matchup where Butler's dropping 2 whole weight classes down to bantamweight. Going to be probably a lot bigger. Can Katona get it done here, kind of training out in Ireland with Conor McGregor and his guys? I like his gym. Results haven't always gone Katona's way, but I feel like he's a good professional fighter. What are you thinking in this fight up here?
Bro, that Jesse Butler versus Jim Miller fight was hilarious.
It was.
They got starched. He made Jim Miller look like a fucking world beater, bro. Yeah. 23 seconds, he gets knocked out. Like, that was crazy.
Jim is a guy that has sneaky power. I think he's got
Yeah, I agree,
but it's like,
yeah.
if you're going out that quick to Jim Miller, that's Eric Gonzalez. That's, Jim's in his 40s at this point. It's not a great indication you're going to beat an MMA fighter. I put this out on Twitter. I feel like the size issue concerns for me are alleviated a bit, that Cody Gibson is similarly big for bantamweight. He's 5'10", 71-inch reach, and we saw how Katona navigated that matchup. So I have a lot of trust in Brad to actually get this done. The question is he going to cover minus 620 in a decision that doesn't have a lot of activity in it?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's just like, why is he dropping 20 pounds? I mean, what do you do with that?
Yeah, it is a good question. What do you do with that? I'm taking a look. So, Katona to win by decision minus 150, both knockout and submission at plus 400. So if I do my math correctly, inside the distance plus, I want to say plus 100. No, plus 200. I'm sorry. What am I
Yeah.
doing? I have not had enough caffeine today. Plus 200. Where would you go on that side of the fence with Katona decision minus 150, either finishing outcome plus 200?
I mean, all 6 of Katona's fights have gone the distance in the
They have.
UFC, win or loss. He
Yep.
fought Merab back in 2019. I don't know, bro. I kind of want to take the knockout just because it's Jesse Butler.
I was gonna say, dude, I think I might just play knockout in lieu of, because it's just a weird fight to visualize. Katona, much smaller arms, like wrapping up the neck of Butler. I feel like Butler in those long limbs, he's gonna be able to defend submissions, and he's got a lot of subs on his record. I kind of feel like I'd take Katona by knockout, maybe like a tiny sprinkle, not with very much confidence at all.
Yeah, no, I agree.
We don't have a lot to work with in some of these early fights, but I do think it gets better as we move in here. So we'll move on to this next fight up. I think we got the ladies up next. Am I right? Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. Andrea Lee taking on Montana De La Rosa. This is a rematch of a fight in 2019 that Andrea Lee won by unanimous decision. I hate to do this to these ladies, but it feels like loser gets cut here. Andrea Lee would be on a 5-fight skid. Montana De La Rosa would have a losing record in UFC. So it's kind of an urgent fight from that perspective. I was able to model it. I think the line movement here this week's been fascinating. What do you think about KGB Lee taking on Montana in this spot?
I mean, Andrea Lee is 5-7.
Yeah,
she lost 4 fights in a row.
Right.
And you want me to back her as a minus 150? Like, I mean, some of her losses aren't bad.
Yes.
Miranda Maverick, Macy Barber.
Yeah, I wrote in my article this week, there is an alternate universe where she's in the top 5 because she starts 7-1. A couple of split decisions went against her that I actually scored in her favor. Probably a different career path, but I just feel like she's kind of lost a step, dude. Like, she was embarrassed by Natalia Silva, had no answers for Miranda Maverick on the ground, and yes, Montana De La Rosa doesn't quite bring the striking of a Silva or the wrestling of a Maverick, but she kind of ties them better together than either of those two in the same fashion. And I think this is a great example of how age factor works in my model, where when these guys first fought, Lee was 31, Montana was 25. The age factor would have swung in Lee's direction. I probably would have found value in her and picked her to win. Here I've got Lee at just minus 105, Montana plus 105. So I think it's dog or pass. And I'm kind of inclined to take the dog the way that Lee's been defending wrestling, 55% takedown defense. Montana's big. She's strong for this division. The thing is that Lee lost unanimous decision to Vivi Araujo, couldn't get off her back. De La Rosa and Araujo went toe-to-toe not too long ago. So I feel like measuring sticks, it's going to be a really close fight. I think you're nuts for laying minus 156 with Lee when I'll check the total here. I'm guessing it's another heavily juiced over 2.5,
Yeah, and Montana's fought some killers, bro.
It's minus 410, the over 2.5.
I mean, Montana's fought Tatiana Suarez, Myra Bueno Silva, Macy Barber, she's fought a lot of great fighters since that initial matchup.
Yes.
But I mean, she got dominated in that. Well, she got outstruck 73-14.
Right.
But she did get 5-1 takedown. So
I felt like Montana took a really bad approach in her last fight against JJ Aldridge. She really didn't try to wrestle. There was some bad blood. Those guys had trained together before. I think she felt like she couldn't get Aldridge down, didn't have a lot of confidence in it. You throw the Suarez result out because that's a completely different tier of MMA. I want to shout out my guy Uncle Wheezy in chat. Said, "Hey, what's up? That guy's great. Follow him on Twitter, Uncle Wheezy." I love making sure I check in with what he's doing every week. But we appreciate all you guys for tuning in here. I think that in a fight, I said over 2.5 minus 410, like feels like a Montana by points plus 160 plus 170 spot to me. It feels like a good number for. I would be surprised if both bettors on both sides in this fight at the end of it were not clenching their buttholes looking for a result that goes to split decision. That it feels that way. I'm guessing, do we have a split prop on this fight? I'm taking a look.
Not on FanDuel. We barely have anything.
Yeah. Different book has split
No,
decision.
we do have. Yeah, but plus 170 is a decision on FanDuel.
Yeah. I think that so we have Montana by decision plus 170. That's a good number. Let me check what I've got it at real quick.
Yeah, I'm all about that. I would play that all day.
30. So I've got it at 36.9%. So let me do some quick maths here. I've got it at plus 170 exactly. So maybe it'll lengthen. Lee has lengthened quite a bit this week. This was like a coin flip pick'em type of fight on Sunday. Now Lee's up to minus 156. I don't know if it'll be that much higher because, like, how could it? Like, yeah, Lee just kind of left that minus 120, minus 130 range to now sort of a semi-prohibitive favorite. But like, I get the appeal. She won the first matchup. She, in theory, is the better striker, but like she's also never had a knockout win of her own. She had the TKO where Calvillo quit on the stool. Montana has been very durable. She didn't get finished by Ariane da Silva. Went the distance with Mara Bueno Silva up in weight, like, you know, before she moved up to 135. Araujo hits pretty hard. Like, I don't. Maddie's definitely gonna have a KO prop in this fight. Don't have a KO prop in this fight, Maddie. I don't think it's a good idea. De La Rosa sub's kind of interesting. Lee's submission defense, not bad. I want to say I don't think she's ever been finished professionally. Lee has. So, if you're looking for a finish angle, I don't have one for you. Alrighty, let's move forward here just so we can fly through these early prelims, not waste these guys' time here. Interesting fight this is one that I had circled that I wanted to get Maddie's opinion on here. Carlos Prates taking on Charles Radtke. I wonder if he's going to stay loyal to the money because, Maddie, you cashed Prates' round 2 knockout in his fight against Trevin Giles, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Now taking on Chuck Buffalo, who did cost me money in his last fight. He definitely handled Gilbert Urbina. I thought it was a good number. Radtke showed not only a lot of improvement, but maybe some skill that he just didn't have an opportunity to before that. This is a good fight at welterweight. I'm curious who you think is going to win it. Prates minus 235 at this point.
Yeah, Prates is a weird guy to handicap, bro. Like his last fight against Trevin Giles.
Yeah.
He's like his volume is so low. He looks like he's not even trying. He just has that natural skill set and like ability to just hurt guys.
Yeah.
But he's just weird to watch, bro. But man, when he turns it on, he can just put your lights out.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean the Charles's debut was terrible against Blood Diamond. That was such an ugly fight. He won unanimous decision. Then in that last fight, you know, he wins by round 1 knockout. I don't think anyone was expecting that.
Yep.
I feel like this is a sell spot for him now. I almost want to play Prates here round 2, 3 KO.
Yeah, I'm on the other side here. I look at this betting number. I don't know how I could lean associated props with Prates given how he looked in that Giles fight. Like round 1 was a complete domination. It's so weird to me. Prates is a fighting nerds guy. Doesn't approach fights anywhere close to like a Mauricio Ruffy or a Kyle Borralho or a John Silva, where it feels like those guys are fighting nerds guys. Prates, like you said, it's a little lackadaisical. He's got the Muay Thai tattoo on his chest. The dude is uber talented. I don't always know if he's engaged. And the one thing that you're going to get from Radtke is intensity, forward pressure, focus. I think his power, he showed up noticeably larger in that Urbina fight. If you watch back his fight there against Blood Diamond, like
that's a good point.
I feel like he's a guy that is trending on the upward trajectory, whereas Prates definitely, I don't think he's a guy that doesn't put the work in the gym. It's just kind of a focus thing. Maybe a little bit of what you get with Paulo Costa. Has all the tools, maybe doesn't always put them together minute to minute. I think Radtke plus 180 is a pretty good number. Now, I don't think he's right hand from hell putting him out, but can mix in his wrestling, definitely has the grappling upside of these two. Really good power, maybe more physicality against the clinch. Maybe Radtke puts together another stinker, just like that Blood Diamond fight that looked that way because Blood Diamond couldn't get off the cage. Maybe Radtke goes back to it. I don't find him to be a super likable guy, but I think that this price is pretty solid for him when he is the aggressor. He's the guy that moves forward. He is the guy that probably has the grappling upside here. You and I were on the opposite side of Prates and Giles in the first fight, though, so that's why I wanted to ask your opinion. And if you're going back to Prates, that does make me second guess my position.
No, I think
Yeah.
I like the round 2-3 KO because I think
Sure.
he can be losing in this fight and he's chasing that KO.
Yeah.
But I don't hate I think the decision for Chuck Buffalo is like plus 450.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good number here where he could just push the pace, land a little bit more, and win on the
Yeah.
scorecards.
The-
So if you're gonna play him, I like that number. I don't think he's gonna win. I don't think he's gonna get a finish though.
Yeah, the one thing that you look at Urbina in his fight against Radtke, Prates will not. Urbina almost looked shook. He was like against the side of the cage. He really didn't. He was shook by the pressure. I don't think it'll bother Prates nearly as much. The question will be, will the finish come? Radtke's only been finished once in his 19 pro fights, or 25 pro fights. I'm sorry, I was looking wins and losses and draws and all that stuff. But it was Justin Montalvo, who's a Bellator alum, so not the best competition, but he knocked him out. So I kind of am still worried a little bit about Radtke's durability at this larger stage. Now, Blood Diamond's a guy that hits hard, but I'm with you. I think Radtke by points or maybe Prates by late finish are the two best angles in this fight.
Yeah. You bring up some good points though. I mean, super durable guy overall, and Brady's just. I'm telling you, I don't know if he's just dicking around or like what his mindset is early in these fights. So.
Maybe, I mean, some of these strikers, like especially Muay Thai guys, they download data. He might be a data downloader, but those guys can be cash cows for a while if you just forego the money line and then look toward later round props. Like Chito Vera was that guy for a little bit. I'm trying to think.
I made so much money on Chito late round props. I had a round 4 against Dominic Cruz. I love taking that guy late, but I also lost on him like a couple times. The worst bet of my life was him versus Corey Sandhagen. That was like probably the worst bet I've ever put in my life.
Yeah, a little bit of that was kind of a gotcha. We hadn't seen a ton of wrestling from Sandhagen, especially successfully to that point. But what can you do? We're cage fighting business. There's going to be variants, and that probably includes this fight, which is another one back to back that I had circled. I wanted your opinion on. Feels like this is like the Gamblers' main event. A lot of split opinions. We know these guys are both really skilled mixed martial artists at lightweight. Thiago Moises taking on Ludovic Klein. Really both of them kind of in a sell high spot, coming off of finishes of guys who maybe aren't UFC caliber that they got on late notice. And that's kind of why this fight is so close, is that we want to sell both of them in these spots, but we can't. And now they're matched up against each other. They give each other problems in different areas. Maddie, what are you thinking in this fight? I've already got action here, but I don't know if I'm extremely confident in it at this point, as I've seen some sharps on the other side.
Yeah, I don't know which side you're on, but I like Thiago, bro. I think he's one of the better. I think he's one of the better dogs on this card. Both these guys are southpaws, right?
I will have to double check. I'm pretty sure Klein is a switch stance guy, if not orthodox. But
okay, I know Thiago. Yeah, or I guess Thiago's orthodox. Both these guys fight in different. Well, Thiago's just fought already a couple like really high level southpaws. Like he's fought Islam, he's fought BSD.
Yep.
I just think you're asking who has the more experience, who's fought the higher level of competition.
Yeah.
It's Thiago all day.
Yep.
I think he could be trailing early though. Like I think Klein can get ahead on the scorecard. Yep. But man, I was looking at the round 2-3 here for Thiago. Like round 3 is like plus 1100 just by finish, like KO or sub. And I just think Klein carries a lot of muscle mass. He throws a lot into his shots.
Yeah.
I just think we could see him fade and Thiago could get him late. So I like Thiago as a dog here. I also like the round. I think round 2 is plus 900.
Yeah.
And round 3 is plus 1100. I just think he's a more experienced guy. He has more ways to win. He can finish the fight in multiple ways. I like those round 2-3 props.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I will say that I didn't even realize this until you were talking right now, but I am the world's worst Ludovic Klein better. Like, I've been on the wrong side every single time. I thought that Klein, maybe his cardio issues might have shown up. I took small sprinkles at AJ Cunningham in his last fight, and then I thought he'd get boat raced by Ignacio Bahamondes. Ends up taking Bahamondes down a few times and beating him. And then I was all in on him against Jai Herbert. He goes to a draw, and then I faded him with Mason Jones, and he wins. So I'm a really bad Ludovic Klein better. So maybe you should fade the opposite side of whatever I pick in this fight. And unfortunately, I already bet Klein earlier this week. So maybe you end up taking Tiago and Maddie's right here. You listen to Maddie on this one. But I think they both have definite winning upside here. It's intriguing how they match up, where I feel like Moises is bigger. His jiu-jitsu is much better. I think his high-level experience, like you said, is much better. But at the same time with Klein, I feel like I get better pace. I feel like I get better wrestling. I get better ability to win minutes. And I feel like in general, I get a little bit more of a dog in him with Klein, a guy that's willing to dive in to deep waters. Whereas Moises, when he's been heavily pressured, we saw the Joel Alvarez fight, the Benoit Saint-Denis fight, it did not go well. So I think this fight kind of has a Klein early, Moises late dynamic to it. Do we have a total on FanDuel? Because that could also be an intriguing look in this fight. I like Ludovic here just because Tiago's a guy that generally drives me nuts because he's so talented, but doesn't typically push a pace that demonstrates that. He doesn't win a lot of minutes. But it wouldn't surprise me if I ended up on the wrong side of a Klein fight and he got submitted here because Moises significantly better there. Klein was submitted at featherweight by Nate Landwehr. I knew what the minute I took my Klein position, which was minus 120, I was trying to beat the line movement here. I will be hedging this out with a Moises sub because I think it's such a good outcome. It'll be probably a pretty good price since he's the underdog. So that was my direct strategy for this fight to begin with.
Yeah. The over 2.5 is minus 140.
Okay. So nearly a pick then to go the full distance, I'm guessing. Yeah, minus 122 to go the full distance.
Yeah, that's. I prefer the under. I prefer the fight to not go the distance.
Yeah, I'm taking a look at my model here. Seeing what it's. Yeah, I'm right about 50-50 as far
I mean,
as.
Ludovic Klein's been subbed in round 3.
Yep.
Against Nate the Train. I was an Anaconda choke. That was back in 2021.
Yeah.
I just think he could gas a little if I can get to the ground late.
Yep.
I'm telling you, when I looked at FanDuel, I saw that round 3 plus 1,100, and I was like, that's going to feed families right there. Tiago Moises, round 3 plus 1,100 is hitting.
Why wouldn't you just take sub though instead of round 3? Like, what's the knockout?
Yeah, no, I mean if he's gassing his ground and pound, but no, I'm with you. Let me see what the difference is.
I think I'm gonna trust Ludovic to
the round 3 KO is 32-1. The round 3 sub is 16-1.
I think I
ask if that extra plus 500 is worth it, you know.
Yeah, I've got Moises 15.3% by sub, 8.8% by knockout. So I'm pretty much in line with the implied probabilities on FanDuel relative to win equity. Where Moises is plus 390 by sub, he's plus 800 by knockout. Oddsmaker saying it's twice as likely he gets a sub. That's right about where I am too. But like, I mean, Moises has shown good power. I think he dropped Ramirez in his last fight. Am I forgetting another power moment from him? That was his 3rd career knockdown. His other 2 came on the Contender Series, so not
he does kicks too. He's got really good kicks.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he only has 2 KOs in the UFC. One was on Contender Series, and they were both kicks.
Yeah. I think I know I'm just gonna lay a half unit Moises sub plus 390. Maybe I can find a plus 400 out there, and that'll buy me out of my Klein position if that's what I'm afraid of him getting subbed. That is a very real concern there. Even though my model's got Klein at minus 135 to win, so I'm still showing value against this number. I showed great value against the other number. So boy, I'm really bad at betting both of these guys now that I look back at it, Maddie. Moises, you remember this fight where he got boxed up by Michael Johnson in the first round and then came out in the second round, dove for an ankle lock and got it. I had MJ that night.
Yeah.
Like I had Moises against Alvarez. That didn't work well for me. I had Melky Costa against Moises. I'm just really bad at betting both of these dudes. So Maybe I should have
Yeah.
just cashed
I
out my
do
money.
I do think if you bet Tiago, you're gonna be sweating the first like 5 to 7 minutes.
Yeah, Klein's pressure is really good, and that's where we've seen
Yeah.
Moises crumble before. Maybe I cash out of my money line position entirely and just take round 1 Klein, round 3 Moises, whatever I end up deciding to do. But I feel comfortable with that evaluation of the fight.
Yeah.
Cool.
Question on the screen.
What you got?
Is he still at American Top Team?
He is American. He's still with ATT. Tiago Moises is.
Yeah, I thought so too, but I just was checking his Instagram because I don't. They said there's a rumor it just happened or something. I don't know.
If he ended up splitting off, that I think that would be a bad trade. This is a really good gym for lightweights. ATT is Poirier,
Yeah.
Gamrot, Dawson. Like Moises, I think has some of the best BJJ of those 4. It's just his wrestling that needs a little bit of work. So
Yeah.
we'll move forward here. Featured prelim time. One of my favorites is back, Matty, and I'm gonna see if I can talk you onto the South Florida guy here. We'll see if I can or not. Miguel Baeza taking on Puna Soriano. Soriano dropping down to welterweight. I think it's interesting that Baeza returns from a long layoff. He was knocked out twice in a row, and now he gets a super power puncher in Soriano. I think UFC matchmakers did this very intentionally. Probably the most relevant finish spot we've seen so far. What do you think in this fight with Baeza at -200?
Bro. I can't believe this guy's -200.
Really?
I mean, I just have these flashes in my head of him getting knocked out by Andre Fialho in round 1.
Yep.
But I mean, I guess, that was over 2 years ago. He's taken time outside of the UFC, but I just -200 for that chin.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Can I raise you submitted in round 2 by Dustin Stoltzfus as a equally embarrassing outcome for Puna Soriano?
Yeah,
Like,
no,
I
for
think
sure.
Puna's weight drop here is the complete unknown, right? If it gives him an additional level of power that welterweights can't just stand with this dude. Like, Soriano reminds me a lot of Chaos Williams. He's not very efficient. He is incredibly powerful. Chaos is better, but Soriano doesn't bring a lot of wrestling upside offensively. He's had some issues defensively as well. I think Baeza's jiu-jitsu is an interesting characteristic in this fight, where he had 5 submission attempts against Chaos when he fought him, and that was a pretty close fight up until a 3rd round KO. I'm glad Baeza took a lot of time off because attrition had started to mount with him. Like, he was winning early against Santiago Ponzinibbio. That fight ended up going to deep water, didn't go well for him, and then he just never seemed to have the same chin. So I think a perfect strategy is exactly what Dixon put in chat, if we can pull that up. I'm on Miguel Baeza too, but I think the Puna round 1 KO hedge 1,500. This guy, if he can't take UFC level shots, it'll become apparent very, very quickly. So that number for Puna KO 1, really solid, and you can get out of whatever position you make.
You're starting to sell me on the sub, though. It's +420.
Yeah. I think it's his more likely finishing outcome. Puna's been very durable, went the distance with Brendan Allen. He was dropped in his last fight by Stoltzfus, but we talk all the time about setting hands up. Like, getting head kicked by Roman Kopylov, I don't think is an indictment of his durability. It's just I'm much more concerned about Soriano's takedown defense, which on paper sits absolutely abysmal. It's like 33%, and that's on over 30 attempts. So it's a bad sample and it's a lengthy one. So I'm more concerned with Baeza getting this fight to the ground and having a pronounced advantage there.
Yeah. It's just that Brendan Allen fight. You go distance to Brendan Allen, you don't get taken down.
Yeah.
I mean, that was 2021, but it's just.
Well, Brendan tried one. So not a
Yeah.
huge sale. He was winning at distance, Allen was. So it's like, do I have to drain my gas tank? Nick Maximov is a good wrestler. He's a better wrestler than Baeza. Baeza at this point hasn't really shown a lot of wrestling, just 0.44 takedown attempts per 15. He's been more of a club and sub or off his back type of guy. So I don't know what Soriano's approach will be. Another thing that scares me about Soriano in this spot, training with Eric Nixick, Extreme Couture, one of my favorite gyms. Baeza is at a good one too, MMA Masters with Colby Covington in the same division. So I think it's good gym on good gym here, but I love Extreme Couture. I faded him last week with Cesar Almeida and didn't have a good feeling in my stomach with Kopylov on the other side. But that fight was really disappointing in general. That Roman,
I'll tell you what, if
Yeah.
in a straight kickboxing match, Almeida wins that.
Yeah. But Kopilov showed he has improved in that area. You know, that's the fun of this game we play is where these guys are improving, who might
Yeah.
have one upside. Is this an area you've played both guys in a fight before where you think you might go Beaza sub Soriano knockout? Like Soriano knockout's got to be at least 2
I
to
think I
1.
might just hammer the fight to not go the distance.
Yeah.
What
Is
is
it
that? The
expensive?
question is, what is the under here?
Yeah,
Under 1.5 is -112.
makes sense to me.
Yeah.
A longer fight would suit Baeza to me. I think he's the more efficient striker, and like if you told me this fight went the distance, I would tell you with a great deal of confidence that Miguel won it. That's a huge if though, with Soriano and his power dropping down.
Yeah.
So, we'll move forward. Do you have a specific lean that has called out to you on FanDuel before we move on?
I really don't. I mean, I could get behind the Baeza sub, but that might be it.
Baeza by KO being the shortest outcome is just weird. That's just weird.
That's the shortest?
Yeah, it's plus. Well, okay. I say it's weird, and then my models got it more
Oh,
like
yeah, it's plus 210, yeah.
you know, Baeza doesn't seem like a super powerful knockout guy, but he's got a 1.51% knockdown rate. He's got let's see here. And he's the much more efficient striker, 48% defense for Soriano. My model's got that at 31.6%. So I've got knockout at plus 216. So just not quite off value. And then I've got submission at, let's see. I've got submission for Miguel at plus 340. And it's plus 420. So I'm actually showing value on the submission.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Cool. Yeah. Hey, good fight. Can't wait to see which one of those guys gets back in the win column. But on to the main card we go.
Fuck Zachary Reese, bro. He's so dead. This guy's so dead to me. But the sad thing is I want to win money back on him for fucking me the first time.
I don't know if this is the spot to do it. Julian Marquez taking on Zach Reese here. I talked earlier about the gambling main event with Klein Moises. This is another one where you will get polarizing opinions. By the way, error on the graphic. Zach Reese currently plus 118. FanDuel's not giving you that bad of a line. Okay,
Yeah, no.
I get all the flack about the vig, but it's not that bad. This line was a dead pick'em on Sunday. It is elevated in Mr. X Miley Cyrus's direction. If you remember, Julian Marquez asked out Miley Cyrus and then fumbled the bag. He hasn't really done a lot of winning since that moment either. Knocked out by Gregory Rodriguez in Austin a couple years ago, lost a war of attrition to Marc-Andre Barrios. So now they give him a total newcomer in Reese here. I think it's whether you which one of these guys are you fading is which side I think I've seen people taking upon here. Who are you more inclined to fade at this point, Maddie? Julian Marquez or Zach Reese?
You know what, man? Zachary Reese, if he fought Cody Brundage 10 times, he would have won by submission 8. And he just wouldn't let go of that arm bar, and he gets slammed on his head.
Right. Even more to add to that variance argument, Brundage said he did that because in the fight prior, Joe Selecki was slammed on his head by Drakkar Klose, and he got the idea.
Yeah.
So if that fight
didn't happen that often. That was crazy to see it happen twice in one night. Like, that was really crazy. Yeah. I just feel like Zachary Reese, that was like an eye-opening, like, I think that was like a moment for him where now he's like, I mean, he looks super in shape.
Yep.
On social media. The talent is there. I think he's a decent underdog here. I just don't know if I can trust him.
Yeah.
He's never gone the distance on a win. Like, the guy's a finisher.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to play him here, you go inside the distance, which, let me see what the number is.
It's probably going to be decently close. This fight is minus 700 to not go the distance. So
yeah,
that's the environment we're working with.
Plus 135. Yeah, what a joke.
Yeah. I actually think Reese might have more decision equity here because of his length and because if there is wrestling upside of these two, Marquez has never attempted a UFC takedown. It would come from Zach Reese changing levels. He is the longer guy here, so if this fight's more timid, I think that does benefit Zach. If you like Zach, I would take the money line in lieu of that inside the distance prop.
Yeah.
But I don't. I like Zach. I like Julian Marquez here. I think Marquez is, he goes up against RoboCop and Marc-Andre Barrios in his last two fights. those are a significantly different level of competition. Whereas you look at Reese's level of competition, man, I've got nothing. And he was going to beat Cody Brundage, like you said, but at the same time, Brundage would be the third or fourth best win for Julian Marquez in his career. Like, Marquez has made some dumb mistakes, but in general, I like his gym. It's Factory X Muay Thai out here. In my neck of the woods, I feel better about that than Reese, more of a small gym guy, not really training with like a big gym yet. I like Reese's measurables. I like his intangibles. He's a little bit younger guy here, but I think Marquez has the actual bona fide experience. And Marquez not been a bad per minute fighter either. I'm checking in about an even striking success rate, negative 0.13, so it's pretty close to zero. 2.6 submission attempts per 15. He's been a very active submission player when he's been looking for it. So both of these guys actually have been. So I think how fight will end submission plus 200 is an interesting angle here. If you think either one of these guys submit the other, in terms of knockout, I certainly can see it from both guys, but I couldn't tell you who's going to be the more powerful, efficient striker here. I get both arguments. You're fading the attrition of Marquez, or you're fading the lack of experience for Reese. I prefer Marquez, but this is probably not a good betting spot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, all of Reese's finishes are in round one, I believe, in his
Yeah.
career. I mean, the guy's explosive early on. Round one for him is like plus 270.
Okay. Man, it's just so now I have to add in gas tank concerns. It's like there's so much to worry about for both of these guys on both
No,
sides.
I actually think Marquez round 2-3 might be a good handicap.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think that, so if this fight is so likely to go the distance, over 1.5 rounds is plus 130. Dang, that's kind of cheeky. I kind of like that, bro. Over 1.5 plus 130. Both of these guys coming off knockout losses, like that's a system play that I talked about a little while ago, where guys are a little bit more careful when they've had their lights put out recently. Anybody got the balls to take the over in this fight, because it doesn't feel like an over type of fight. I feel like the under benefits Reese. So if you're hunting out round one plus 270, I totally get that, and I think that's a good look.
Yeah, no, I agree. I want to watch some more footage on this before.
Yeah.
I don't really have a lean, but I don't want to jump off the Reese train. Like, I want to trust my handicap and act like the Cody Brundage fight isn't going to sway me, because I do believe that he was in a perfect position to get that finish, and he just got slammed on his head. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, all right, you learn from it and you move on. I still think he has all the I think he still has the skill set and the talent to still be what I thought he was going to be. So I kind of leaning towards him early here, but I don't mind a Marquez round 2-3.
Okay. My handicap of Zach Reese against Brundage was Brundage is bad. I'm taking the other guy. And then he loses to Cody Brundage. So I don't really have very much equity in Zach Reese. I don't know if he's a UFC level
But then
fighter.
Brundage didn't get put away by Bo Nickel so easily also.
Cody Brundage is terrible. I won't hear any arguments otherwise. But you're right. He was Nickel's toughest test. So for whatever that's worth, he's better than Jamie Pickett. We'll put that on his tombstone. But
I don't know. I would take Pickett. I would take Pickett in that fight
against Brundage.
I think so.
Me too.
only because Pickett got hit in the nuts when he got finished by Bo Nickel.
Yeah. One last question. We got a question in chat. What would you guys line Marquez and Brundage? I would make Julian like a minus 175 favorite. I think he's much better submission guy, better cardio. Like we kind of forgot about Marquez because the RoboCop fight didn't go his way, but this is a guy, he beat down and he finished Maki Pitolo. The Darren Stewart fight was a landslide. Like, it's been a bit since we saw Marquez at a better level. Like, he destroyed Sam Alvey for whatever that's worth. Alvey went the distance with Ryan Spann and other guys. He destroyed him. So I think Marquez may be a little slept on going into this fight.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll move on here to a fight that I wonder if Maddie and I will agree on this one. I got to say, this is probably my least confident fight on the card, so I'm willing to put a lot of stock into Maddie's opinion here. Bruno Ferreira taking on Dustin Stoltzfus. I was texting Maddie all week about Stoltzfus against Puna Soriano. I never actually had the gall to pull the trigger, and I should have, because he dominated Soriano, really revived his UFC career. And what's his welcome reward? A guy knocking out RoboCop and Phil Hawes and all these other top guys as well. Ferreira making a statement off the Contender Series just a couple of years ago. So What do you think of this fight here? Bruno Ferreira minus 280. I kind of get it given his results in UFC thus far, but can Stoltzfus pull another upset?
Yeah, so like Bruno is a guy we weren't really sure about, right? Like
Right.
he puts away his first two guys in the UFC, including RoboCop, and then he comes out against Nursultan Rozabov, but it was a weird knockout when he
It
lost to him.
was.
It was kind of like he caught his kick and then it was timed an overhand right or something like that. And I think that kind of is what sold us on Nursultan
Yep.
going into the Buckley fight.
Yep.
But I mean, 3 out of his 4 fights in the UFC, he's won by round 1 knockout.
Yep.
You know, and they're good opposition overall. I mean, not crazy good, but Gregory Rodriguez, Phil Hawes is explosive. Obviously, he has chin issues, but I think the UFC is setting this is kind of building up Bruno here.
Yeah.
You know, I think he can win this fight by knockout.
Yeah. I'm glad you hear that. That's my perception too, and I didn't want to be too loyal to Stoltzfus because of what we saw against Soriano. The reality is Ferreira's been a lot better than Soriano was going into that fight. He has a plus 0.83 striking success rate. I understand that it's not been like against top tier competition, but he was trading with RoboCop evenly throughout the course of that fight up until he found the finish, right? And Gregory Rodriguez is a guy you and I are both very high on. So maybe I
If they
like
rematch, though, I would take Gregory all day.
me too. I like
Yeah.
just that's level of experience. You know, that was a short notice fight for Rodriguez. If he had more time to prepare and now he's got more film, I think I would take Gregory as well. But like I was big on Phil Hawes against Ferreira in like a 50-50 fight. Phil Hawes at this point, notorious chin issues. I don't feel like Stoltzfus is that chinny, but at the same time, you look at some of his results, he was knocked out very quickly by Abus Magomedov, not a super powerful guy like in a vacuum, right? And then you look at some of the really up until that Soriano fight, Stoltzfus looked like a guy who was going to get cut. He had a really sloppy fight with Dwight Grant, got out grappled predictably by Rodolfo Vieira, but Kyle Dawkins, Gerald Mearshart was taking him down. It's like you really need to show a little bit more than that. And I think he's going to be the much less comfortable striker between these two. I think Pereira has a lot of trust in his hands. I think he's got a lot of trust in his power at this point, and he should. His knockdown rate is 5%. So it's huge. And I think he's got big power. It feels to me like a build-up spot too for him.
Yeah, no, I agree. What's the KO? I assume it's not very.
Round 1 KO's got to be like plus 250 or something. Like it's
KO
gotta...
is minus 130. Round 1 KO is plus 195.
Now,
round 2 plus 550. I kind of like that.
Now, hear me out on this. I just said Dustin Stoltzfus not super chinny, a guy that's more in it for the long haul. What do you think about Bruno Ferreira by points here? As kind of like we haven't seen him in a longer fight, but Stoltzfus conducive to them a little bit. Third round against Gerald
Plus
Mearshart.
700, bro.
Third round against Vieira, went the distance with Dawkins and Grant. His contender series against Joe Pyfer broke his arm, so that was kind of a fluke deal. Plus 700, dude. It's that I love leaning into like contrarian decisions, and like I think Ferreira is just the better striker here, and maybe Stoltzfus can take the shots. Maybe Ferreira shows a different element. Stoltzfus takedown defense, by the way, also poor, 46%. So I think Bruno's live to get a few takedowns in this spot. Like I kind of like Bruno by points here. The more I talk about it.
Yeah, Bruno. So does Bruno have subs before the UFC?
So his base is in jiu-jitsu.
Right, because that's plus 900. I need to take a look at this real quick.
Oh man, so maybe
that's a huge fucking number, bro.
Maybe we play sub. Yeah, he's got 3 subs outside of UFC. Maybe he's never gone the distance though, which like we see these guys all the time.
So he has a triangle choke, a rear naked choke, and an arm bar.
That's pretty good. Like it's not all rear naked choke.
Like you said, Stoltzfus isn't that like he'll get hurt, but he doesn't go out. Like he's not like that chinny.
Yeah.
And like maybe he gets hurt and then gets subbed. Plus 900 is pretty crazy.
How about this for double chance? This almost feels like we do the fun parlay. Sub or decision is plus 400. So we get either of those. We just say, hey, he's gonna win and not knock him out at plus 400.
and then he knocks him out in round 1.
Maddie, we do this all. What if it's ground and pound? Because Stoltzfus has great submission defense. Like he went to the third with Vieira. He went to the third with Mearshart. He's got really good sub defense.
Well, but you're just saying you're excluding the knockout, though.
Oh yeah, you're right. I argued against myself there. I was
no, but I hear what you're saying
yeah.
though, because the subs live, or if he just beats his ass for 3 rounds. I mean, I like that double chance. It's a little scary for sure.
Ferreira's just such a good grappler. I thought he was going to be.
I like the sub, bro. The more I'm looking at this, we haven't seen it yet in the UFC, and we know that's his background. Let's look at Dustin here in his MMA career.
Maddie, round 3 sub 50-1. Round 3 subs 50-1. And Stoltzfus has been submitted twice in the third round. Vieira and Mearshart.
I could buy my mom a house with that type of fucking.
That feels like a Mattybetts prop. That feels like a Mattybetts prop, is because Stoltzfus has a history of getting submitted in the third round. He's a black belt in judo and Brazilian jiu-jitsu, right? Come on, Maddie. 50-1.
But bro, both of his subs were in round 3. Jesus. But it was against GM3 and Rodolfo Vieira. Like, come on.
Yeah. Ferreira subbing him. Stoltzfus is a guy that has really good grappling. Like, that's kind of why the angle I took on the Soriano fight. So it's like, it's tough.
Yeah, imagine this, bro.
Yeah.
What's Bruno? You ready for this?
Yeah.
This parlay here can get you out the hood right here, bro. You ready for this? We're going Bruno round 3 sub at 50-1. And then we're going, you ready for this?
Yeah.
Remember what I told you earlier?
Oh, Moises knockout? Is that what you like?
No.
Oh, what'd you tell me?
That's round 3. The round 3 special.
Yeah.
I might just I'm going round 3 sub special. Look at this shit.
Max bet 50 cents.
Bro. Yeah. So the payout of this, hold on. I gotta see it.
$10 pays $6,000. $1,000 would pay $611,000. But max
plus 1,600 and plus 50 plus 5,000. What's that pay?
$100 pays $61K.
Oh shit, dude! Do me a favor and text me. Can you text me a screenshot of that?
Yes, I will send it to you against my wishes because I'm
100% playing that, even if it's pennies. I'm putting. I have to now, bro.
Well, $100, bro. $100 gets you 61 grand, so it can be Maddie.
Yeah, but I'll bet it to win like 100 grand, so I'll put like 150 or 140 on it.
Okay, max bet on FanDuel $100, so Maddie's gonna have to find someone else that'll take that bet. But it's okay.
Bruno, for the question in the chat, is Bruno round 3 sub, and Thiago Moises round 3 sub.
No, just round 3 for Moises.
No, it was round 3 sub because it was plus 1,600.
Oh, okay.
Round 3 is plus 1,100.
I sent you the wrong thing then. I'm gonna have to send you a different. We'll move on.
Let's move on.
Move on. We
sure.
promised to not ramble, and here we get rambling, making up parlays as we usually do. But we'll move forward here. One that's not tough. One that we've kind of broken down before, so I'll kind of save the interest of folks as well. Raul Rosas taking on Ricky Turcios. UFC has kept re-racking this matchup. Turcios says he's over it. There we go. And these guys will be the third to last fight on the card. Raul back. Surprisingly, have not seen him since he cashed a 4-1 ticket for Maddie on knockout against Terrence Mitchell. That was one of our highlights of last year's show for sure. He showed off the hands.
That was such a great win, just the way he did it.
Yeah, it was just
epic.
Yeah, it was. And now he's got Turcios, former Ultimate Fighter winner. We've broken down this fight a few times here. Like, I've seen a lot of the MMA Twitter community kind of like behind Turcios here. My question to them would be, why has UFC continued to maintain this matchup for Rosas? I think I have the answer, Maddie. Are you taking a dog shot here, or do you like the kid to get it done again?
I ain't doubting my boy Raul, bro. Yeah. My boy Raul is just a specimen. He's a specimen. And guess what? Don't be surprised if he runs back the KO again. Because Turcios has never been submitted in his career.
Right.
And this dude Raul is just explosive, man.
Yeah.
He's a specimen. He's a prodigy. I can see ground and pound if he gets in a dominant position. And Turcios is really good at defending the submissions.
Yeah.
But no, I like Raul Rosas Jr. here. I don't mind him as a parlay piece, even at that number.
Yeah.
But it should be a good scrap for sure.
Yeah, Rosas is kind of mean, right? Like he's got a mean streak to him in the octagon. Like
Plus
vicious.
950, bro, in the
Yeah,
KO.
I just saw that too. Where like I feel like that is mispriced. Where
What
Raul
the
Rosas
fuck, dude?
sub is plus 200, decision is plus 200, and the knockout is plus 950. I'm more so Maddie would think that'd be of the ground and pound variety than a standing KO at this point because Turcios can't defend takedowns to save his life. Turcios takedown D is I'm at 45%. Kevin Natavi Dodd before he got cut just took Ricky Turcios down 7 times. Like I feel like a broken record because we've now previewed this fight a couple of times and they've stuck with it. But I don't think Turcios can defend his takedowns. So like you tell me he gets taken down and ground and pounded, it's a decision, a submission. None of those outcomes would truly surprise me. I think Rosas is one of the better parlay pieces of the week. We might go here for our safe parlay, just taking the money line. I don't think minus 235 is a stretch. In general, like Raul struggled with Christian Rodriguez, but so has everybody else since they fought,
Yeah,
right?
agreed.
I think Rosas is
Christian Rodriguez is just a beast, bro. He shouldn't be.
yep,
They just went up too high in competition too
yep,
early for him.
yep. I think they didn't know how good C Rod was when they
And
gave it.
C Rod's a monster, bro. He's now beaten Isaac Dolgarian, Cameron Simon,
Yep.
and Raul Rosas. He's just a monster. I know one of those ones were questionable, but still.
Rosas is way better than Chase Hooper was at 19. Like this guy's got future UFC champ written all over him, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Which Chase Hooper is a monster in these days too.
Yeah, and look how good Chase Hooper is now as he's gotten into his prime because he's been doing this for so long.
I
Rosas is
still
gonna be
can't
absurd.
believe, bro. I still can't believe they didn't give me that Chase Hooper knockout, dude.
Yeah. Oh,
It's just devastating to this day for me.
Keith Peterson. If Maddie ever sees Keith Peterson on the street, we're gonna have problems. But we don't really have. I mean, do you have so you like the knockout plus 950? That's your favorite angle here.
Yeah, I like the KO and I like the money line.
Yeah. I prefer just more of a money line position. I don't have a good feel for how it happens. What I will guarantee, and I Home of Fight Discord, if you're not subscribed yet, we'll have a link in the episode description. I gave out a ton of props last week. They went 4-1. I'm gonna look for a Rosas takedown prop here. I think he clears 3 or 4 of them. So if you can find a takedown prop, that'll probably be my favorite angle in this fight.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to the co-main, Maddie. I think we mixed up 2 and 3, so we'll go back. Maddie's guy, the Hanyak Dustin Jacoby, taking on Dominic Reyes in a fight right on the fringe of the rankings. I think it's a sick fight. This is the first time we've seen Dom in a little bit, as he's kind of struggled with his chin, 4 straight losses by knockout. Kind of struggled is underselling it a lot. Like Reyes has had big time chin concerns. Dustin Jacoby on this other side here looking to turn it around after a decision loss to Menafield that could have gone his way, arguably. It was a pretty close fight. That's the problem with the way we score these now, but 2 really good MMA fighters going at it, co-main event. Really big win for either of them if they can get it. Curious what you're thinking in this fight.
Yeah, I mean, Dustin Jacoby has fought some really good competition.
Yes.
You know, like Khalil Roundtree, Azmat Merkanov, however you say his last name. That dude's a killer.
Yep.
He starches Kennedy and Juku, who I had that round 1. I think it was 9-1. Alonzo Menafield, I was at that fight live. Jacoby was just a better fighter the entire fight. Outside of those big shots, he would just randomly give up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so this is kind of a scary fight for him because Dominic Reyes is a guy that's, you know, fought really good competition. And if he comes back somehow to be the guy he used to be, then I think he wins this fight. But I think this is also the UFC saying, like, hey, here's a shitty chin for you. Go do your thing, Dustin Jacoby. We want to build up kickboxers and guys like this. So I like Dustin Jacoby here.
Yeah.
But I will say it's a little pricey on the money line for me.
Sure.
Just based off of name value.
Yeah. If you like Jacoby, I think taking him by points is a pretty good angle here, just because of how Reyes's run has been. And Jacoby's not the most powerful guy on his own. Looking at his knockdown rate, it's just 0.55%. I've actually got Jacoby at minus 135 in this fight, so a little shorter, but a majority of that equity by decision. So I think by points is going to be undervalued compared to like a round 1 KO type of thing. Yeah. I like Dominic Reyes here, though. You talk about competition, John Jones, Jan Blachowicz, and I'm spacing someone else in that span, Yuri Prochazka as well. Now, Ryan Spann is the one that you really get concerned about. We know Spann has hammers, but he's not the most efficient guy. I think Reyes certainly would have won that fight if it prolonged into the second round. Now that we know about Spann, some of his cardio issues and his own shortcomings, but he got chinned, and it is a little bit of a concern here. Where I think this is a friendly matchup for Dom Reyes to get back on track against Jacoby when Jacoby doesn't hit all too hard compared to some of the top shelf finishers in this division. I love overs here, like in general, like Jacoby or Reyes. I think Reyes by points is going to be my angle that I want to take. I've got this fight 54.5% likely to go the distance. So I'm actually looking at will the fight go the distance?
That's definitely going to have value.
Yeah, plus 164 right now. I like this fight to go the distance. I think it's more of a 15-minute point fight. And Reyes is the bigger, to me, more dynamic athlete. I think he's got the wrestling upside of these two, whereas Jacoby's shown some issues with that. QT Lava was a while ago, but I know you like Jacoby. I like Jacoby in general as well, but I think this price is a little iffy when I've got him at minus 145 or whatever, and I've got the fight leaning to go the distance. I wouldn't want to have him parlayed in that spot. I think Reyes is a really good spot. Now, Jacoby doesn't have much time left, so a knockout would go much further for him than a win by decision. But I like, by the way, Reyes has been training with Alex Pereira and Glover Teixeira, two great guys to train with at 205. We'll see if it pays any dividends as he makes a long-awaited return here.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because Jacoby has so many round one KOs.
Yeah, he does.
You know, Kennedy,
Dawoon Jung, right? He got Dawoon Jung. Yeah.
Darren Stewart, that was the stand-in TKO.
Yeah.
Even in boxing, he had a round one KO.
Yeah.
Kickboxing, round one KO. So he does get guys out early, but I feel like if he doesn't get him out in the first, then I feel like he's going to win a decision.
Yeah. I just feel like this
290, by the way, it's still, I don't know if the number does it for me. Jacoby by points plus 290.
Yeah.
It still just doesn't feel good enough.
I like Reyes by points at plus 550 a lot. I really like that for him when I've got most of his outcome baked into it. Yeah, I've got most of his outcome baked into a decision too. So I really like Reyes by points in this fight. But like, this reminds me of the spot last week I tried to tell you about, which was Nico Price taking on Alex Morono, and we were worried about Price's chin. I don't have any dive conspiracy theories here, unfortunately for you guys. That was just a one-time thing. But I generally try to take a guy's body of work into exception, and he went 5 rounds with John Jones. Yuri Prochazka is an animal. Like, Yuri got him with a second round spinning elbow. Like, I kind of forgiving of that. And then the Spann thing, Spann's got unbelievable power. Did he drop Guskov? Because if he didn't, he's dropped so many guys in the first round.
I don't even think he did. I think he just got dominated by Guskov. I can't remember.
Like first round, Ryan Spann is a mythical fighter, and then he falls off a cliff if you get
it. I mean, you know what, bro? I was just looking at the FanDuel numbers.
Yeah.
Jacoby round 1 KO is plus 330. That's way higher than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the
I thought that was going to be like plus 175.
Yeah.
Like, that's plus 330. A guy that just got KO'd by Ryan Spann in round 1 against a guy who has like 5 or 6 round 1 KOs. Someone in the chat said Jacoby's going to go for the round 1 KO. Yeah. I'm about to DM him, bro. Jacoby and I talk over Instagram all the time.
Yeah.
I'm about to DM him and be like, bro, I'm betting the farm on round 1. Just get it done for me.
And just imagine the legendary. But I don't know. I like a longer fight. I like Dom Reyes here, so we'll see.
Yeah, no, but I think I have to on the number.
Yeah, that's a good number. Especially, I think if he's gonna knock him out, first round is the place it's gonna.
Plus 330s round 1, plus 600 round 2.
Like it. I like that.
Sprinkle on 2 just in case. Like maybe like a quarter unit to get the round 1 play back if it somehow gets into the second. But 5 minutes to get it done here. Just don't get taken down.
Yeah.
Find his chin. Retire Dominic Reyes.
Okay. We'll move forward here. Hopefully Maddie and I can find some common ground somewhere, right? Well, I mean, Rosas we got in there. We got a few others. I shouldn't say that, but interested to hear your thoughts on this main event. Pretty close main event, pretty competitive one. We should be in for a good fight here between Nasurdinay Imavov and Jared Cannonier. Cannonier coming back as a short underdog plus 100. Now with that magical 4-0 number next to his age and also coming off injury. But last time we saw him, man, he put it on Marvin Vittorio, landed a career high significant strikes. I think Imavov decently impressive in his last fight against Dolidze as well. So kind of a spot where both these guys come in with a lot of momentum. What do you think here?
Bro, I'll tell you one thing. I was absolutely blown away by Jared Cannonier's performance against Marvin Vittori.
Right.
The dude is a freaking machine. I actually think he's the number one cardio in the entire UFC right now, which I know sounds crazy, but this man is an absolute workhorse. He went 5 rounds of Vittori. After the fight, it looked like he could have ran 40 miles.
Yeah.
He barely broke a sweat. I'm pretty sure he set the record for significant strikes in his division that fight, if I'm not mistaken.
He did.
I mean,
middleweight is not a striker. 241 is what he landed on Vittori. It was insane.
yeah, I just think Cannonier has to win 1 out of the first 3 rounds.
Yeah.
And I think he's guaranteed to win this fight. Like,
Yeah.
I think round 4 is going to be all Cannonier. Round 5 is going to be all Cannonier. As long as he's not down 3-0, I think he easily wins this fight. I think this could be a good live betting spot on him. I think you could probably get him at like 2-1 odds after the first round or 2.
Yeah.
But I love Jared Cannonier. I did hear something about an ACL or MCL injury. He is 40, so I want to get more information on that. But I don't see how he's the underdog, and it kind of scares the shit out of me. It feels very, very trappy in a way.
Yeah. I understand that too. This is almost the same spot he was against Vittori, younger guy, plus 100, plus 105 underdog. It's almost nearly the same exact spot. And he made me look foolish for backing Vittori there. I've got Imavov at minus 125, so I'm almost directly in line with odds makers here. I like Cannonier to win when I know that included in Cannonier's statistical sample is that light heavyweight early tenure of his career where he had a losing record. He wasn't doing very well. Since he has switched to middleweight, he's a completely different fighter, and I don't make exceptions. I don't take samples out. I do career long stats in my model just to keep apples to apples, but he's been way better, especially when he beats up a guy like Vittori worse than Adesanya did, worse than anybody else in the division has beat up Marvin Vittori. He like you said, his cardio, especially pound for pound cardio, given how big he is absurd. That's how he outpaced Strickland. Like he was right there with Sean Strickland, who we talk about being the cardio machine, right? I think my one concern for him here is if Imavov puts on his Dagestani wrestling shoes. We saw Derek Brunson have some early takedown success against Cannonier.
I don't have any concern on that because I feel like if he does that, he ain't lasting 5 rounds. And I don't think you're finishing Cannonier on the ground either. So I prefer he fucking puts those wrestling shoes on. I think he's going to gas if he does that. And I think I'm forced to play a round 3, 4, 5 prop on Cannonier.
Yeah. I think I like Cannonier late too. Maybe I go back to the same exact well I went to with Strickland last week if FanDuel will give me 4-5 decision.
I ended up tailing that, bro. I went 3-4-5 and then somehow fucking Paulo Costa finds like a second wind in his body somehow. I was so pissed. It was like he was limping, he was gassed, and I'm like, oh, we're hitting this shit. And then next thing you know, he finds a second wind, and then Sean Strickland doing Sean Strickland shit. Just spars the whole fight, and then the last 15 seconds starts throwing crazy shit. I'm like, where was that the whole fight?
Yeah. So Cannonier 4-5 decision plus 180. I think that's almost all of his win equity baked into that number. Cannonier 4-5 decision plus 180. That's an awesome number if you haven't gotten it yet, because I've got this fight 71.9% likely to go the distance. So I'm expecting a longer fight.
Oh my God, bro. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Cannonier round 3 KO 22-1, round 4 28-1, round 5 32-1. You've got to be shitting me.
Yeah, I mean Imavov's defense is just so good. 61% striking defense. The thing is, it's the gas tank, right? That's what you're targeting there is the gas tank, which I think is Imavov's number one concern.
Yeah.
So
those numbers are way higher than what Strickland's was.
Yes, they are. And it's Costa. Strickland's not nearly the hitter that Cannonier is, and I think that's some of the reason why is because Cannonier does have first round knockout equity. We saw him flatten Jack Hermanson in the second round. It's been a while since Cannonier put on like the knockout. He had Brunson on the verge of exhaustion, but knocked out Anderson Silva in the first round, David Branch in the second. Like it's been a while since we saw prime kill a gorilla Jared Cannonier, just knocking and flattening dudes out. He's been more of a point fighter later into his career. So,
Yeah, that's very true.
what is this fight to go the distance on FanDuel? It's minus 132. So FanDuel also thinks it's I'm higher than they are, but they also think it's a pretty decent proposition. It goes all 15, and like if it goes all 15, I think I'll take the better gas tank at plus money. You're right that it feels sus. It feels a little sus given how Cannonier looked in his last fight. Maybe he comes back and he looks a little bit. I didn't like Edson Barboza. I thought Barboza had already shown some weaknesses against Lerone Murphy. I thought he already showed that he was slowing down a little bit. Cannonier never has looked better than he did in his last fight. So I that injury really would have had to have taken
Yeah,
a toll on
and
him.
the thing is Marvin Vettori just has a historic chin.
Yeah.
I think Cannonier gets anyone else in this, almost anyone else in this division out of there late. The way he was putting it on him.
Yeah. And I think I got to admit I've been a little bit lower on Imavov than I think most people. We saw how close Strickland and Cannonier were. Imavov had nothing for Sean Strickland on 2 weeks' notice when those two fought to kick off the calendar, I believe last year. Yeah, January 2023. He was destroying Chris Curtis before those two had the headbutt incident. So that surprise, I thought Curtis was a good underdog. Imavov surprised me there. I feel like I kind of generally underrate Imavov. He continues to win. He continues to defy this, but
Yeah,
I don't know what it is. I'm just not really sold on him yet.
yeah. The Roman Dolidze win doesn't really do much for me.
Me neither, because Dolidze just looked outclassed on the feet. Like he doesn't belong in this tier, and like Cannonier would mock Dolidze too. You know,
I agree. I agree. I like Jared Cannonier, man. I think
me
he's a
too.
machine. If it wasn't for the injury rumors, this would be like a big play for me
Yeah,
on his money line. I
yeah.
do want to learn a little bit more about that. That is the one thing that concerns me. And when's the last time he fought here? It was the
It
Vittori
was
fight.
last
How
summer,
long? Yeah, that's all the way back in
June.
that's a year ago.
Yeah, well, because of the knee injury, that makes sense.
Right. So he's a full year. Imavov, on the other hand, is what? 4 months?
Yeah.
4.5 months for Imavov.
Yeah, so there's a ring rust component for sure.
Yeah.
The one last thing I want to say here, by the way, as I like a longer fight, that I love Jared Cannonier's gym, MMA Lab, Sean O'Malley, Kyler Phillips, Marcus McGee at a lower weight class. I love that gym as far as a striking gym. So to me,
Yeah.
it's a big point in Cannonier's direction that they come out with the right game plan to attack Imavov.
Agreed.
All righty. So, Maddie, let us build a parlay before we get the fine folks on their way and out of here.
All right.
What
Leg
do
one, Raul Rosas Jr. money line.
I'm with it. I'm feeling it.
Leg two, you want to throw Cannonier in or leave him out?
Let's peruse.
Let's put Eduardo in there at minus 176.
Okay. I love Eduardo this week. I'm totally down. So we're at plus 123 already. Let's see. Where else are we a little bit different than the market is?
We're on opposite on quite a few of these, so it's kind of
Yeah,
tough.
it is. Not a great week for that in regards. Where do we have props starting? What do you think of Baeza Soriano doesn't start round 3? It's minus 176. Or are we looking for a bigger leg than that? Because that only brings us
No,
up
I
to
like that. I like that.
yeah. So we're at plus 250 with those 3 legs.
Yeah, let's go one more.
Okay.
I mean, I'm down to go Cannonier, but it's going to be sweaty the last leg.
Why don't we take like a distance prop between Cannonier and Imavov? Like
I can't do that, bro.
You don't think so? Like who's finishing the fight early?
Oh, you're saying like the over?
Yeah, like so if we took so over 4.5 rounds is minus 152. That's not a great number. But like if we took fight to start round 3 minus 370, it would go up to plus 345.
Let's find a better number though that we
Okay.
can get this to like close to plus 500.
Yeah, we'll do a 5-1. That makes sense to me. Is there another favorite on this card that you and I both really like?
There's really not.
Katona is a tough sell.
Yeah, and the co-main were somewhat opposite. The other option is we could go. No, it doesn't work. What about Bruno?
Oh, I like Bruno. I don't. So if we add Bruno, it's plus 375. Not quite to that 5-1 threshold, but
What's Bruno by? No, we can't do that. Let's go with the plus 375. I like that. We need to see one go through the hoop here.
yeah, I mean we're now like 2-6 last 8 weeks, so it could be better. But it also could be a lot worse without the hits. So, 4-leg parlay. We have 3 money lines: Eduardo Maura, Raul Rosas Jr., Bruno Ferreira, and then Miguel Baeza, Puna Soriano to not start round 3. So you tag all those together, it's plus 375. You want me to put that in chat, Maddie?
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. So
Or
we'll
send it to Brad. Brad, can you hear that? He's
alrighty.
okay. Give him the money line numbers too.
So Maura money line, I got it here. Rosas Jr. money line, Ferreira money line, and the Puna Baeza fight does not start round 3. If you combine all of those together, it is plus 375. Okay.
I like that. And then I got my crazy parlay.
Okay. So Brad will put that up on the screen for us so everybody can see it here. Mauro money line, Rosas Jr., Ferreira. Hopefully that doesn't.
Oh, we weren't we both on Tiago or no?
No, I like Klein.
Okay.
In that fight.
So, yeah.
Alrighty. So let's take a look. What is your long shot that you want to throw in here?
This is like beyond a long shot. This is like a lottery ticket.
Okay.
But we're going Tiago round 3 submission plus 1600.
Okay.
And we're going
round 3 submission.
What was it, Bruno round 3 sub?
Bruno round 3 sub was 50-1. I'm down to throw Bruno in there.
Well, here's the thing. I might change that to Bruno round 3. Oh wow, it goes to plus 850 from 50-1 though.
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite inside the distance.
It's the craziest lotto. It's the craziest lotto.
Aren't out.
What was it? What was the odds on it again? Bruno round 3 submission.
Bruno round 3 submissions 50-1.
Yeah. And then Tiago Moises round 3 submission is what, 9-1?
I'm taking
11-1. 16-1.
16-1.
16-1 and 50-1. Those are the 2 legs.
I'm down to keep up. I did want to hedge Klein with a submission prop. So, and the gas tank is the primary concern. So I am giving this my okay. And it pays 866-1. So a $10 wager would win $8,660.
On the one I just gave you?
Yeah. I'm down. I'm down. I don't necessarily think it hits, but I'm down to make that art. Well, it's 866-1. So,
yeah.
But I mean, like, I like round 3 sub for Ferreira. I could see Klein getting tired as well.
Round 3 submission parlay.
Let's do it. I'm gonna type this in here. So
yeah, type that in for me.
Ferreira round 3 sub and Moises round 3 sub.
Yeah, to that comment, Dixon just said that's the point. It's a sub play. It's not a KO. Yeah, there it is. Put the odds in there too. It's plus what?
So it's plus 8,600. It's plus 86,600 or 866-1, however you want to phrase it. Can you imagine if this is the one we hit? I'm gonna throw right now. I'm gonna put 0.1 units of mine in there. Yeah, so 0.1 units of mine. Yeah, oh my god, Maddie! $10 wins 8,660. $60.
You got to sprinkle. If anyone that's on this show, you got to at least put $1 on it.
Yeah, I could not imagine if this one hit. All right, we're going with it in the interest of time. Why not? That was kind of our gut feeling. We cooked that up and memed it earlier, so maybe it comes to fruition. But that is all the time we have today. Thank you guys so much for joining us. About 90 minutes of your
Bro,
time.
500 pays 433,000.
Maddie, all these people chirping with you will have nothing to say if that hits. They
Yeah,
want
I could
nothing
lose
less.
every bet. I
You
could
can
lose every UFC bet for the next 10
All right,
years. It wouldn't matter.
we've been getting some asks today. Tonight is game 1 of the NBA Finals. This is not an NBA show. Maddie, do you have a prop in the NBA Finals that you would want to give out, or a line that you like? Because I do have one. If the people ask for it, I'm willing to be a man of the people before we get out of here.
I have a couple here. Hold on.
Okay. Let's take a look. We got some chatter. It's game
I
1.
got a couple player props. So I
What you
have
got? Give me your best one, and I'll give my best
my
one.
best one. I'm going Jason Tatum over 2.5 3-pointers.
I'm on that one as well. That's
Okay.
crazy.
Yeah.
I also like Drew Holiday over 4.5 assists. It's like minus 130.
And I like Kyrie Irving
Under?
over 3.5 rebounds.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I'm on Kyrie under points, but
Yeah.
okay. Wow, how about that? So Tatum over 2.5 threes, Holiday over 4.5 assists. That's Maddie and I. Who knows? Maybe that'll hit as well. We'll put it in, but we're not an NBA show. We're an MMA show, and we had a good one today for UFC Louisville. 14 fights on the card. My stuff will publish tomorrow. FanDuel.com/research/UFC. Maddie, you will have your card likely tomorrow on social media. Have all the
Tomorrow night, maybe Saturday
the
morning.
fun parlays. There is no. I tell you this. For all of the chatter around Maddie, there is nobody that posts his slips and puts his money where his mouth is like Maddie Tanner. He put 10 grand on Dustin Poirier last night. That's why you guys love him. That's why I do the show with him, because he is authentically him. Best of luck to all you guys on your bets. We can't wait. Next week, provided I still have my voice, given everybody in my life has the flu right now except me. So I'm drinking orange juice like crazy, trying to avoid it. We're breaking down a UFC Vegas card. UFC Vegas, I think 95, I want to say. It's Tayara Alex Perez one, whichever one that is. Tatsuro Tayara Alex Perez, right? Yep. So that'll be next week. We have an Apex card. We'll talk to you guys then. But until next time, hope all your bets cash. Enjoy the NBA Finals. Enjoy the card on Saturday. And we will see you soon.
Yes, sir.